or they try to.
What in God's name is going on in here? What was that ruckus?
What ruckus?
I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Could you describe the ruckus, sir?
You're now listening to Music Impulse with Smilez.
Alright, y'all. It's your boy Smilez, and we back for another episode of the Music Impulse. On this very special episode, I had to get the dynamic duo of Let Me Book Pod, one of my Inaudibros, E-Ray.
What's going on, Brody? It's E-Ray, the quasi bad guy, the Diet Coke with the man of 7/8 teeth, aka Regular E.
Regular E. And then can't forget my guy, Mr. Embrace the Turn Up himself, A-Dub.
The pod god, the pod tribal chief, if you will, is in the building, aka Old Man Dub.
Get off my lawn.
That's right. Get off my lawn. But yeah, y'all know every now and then I like to do these little episodes where I listen to an album for the first time. Me and these guys had this conversation a while back in like the group chat. Somehow it came up that I think it was me and Tyre have never heard the first Joe Budden album, and these guys were like, "Hey, Smilez, if you do an episode of Music Impulse Joe Budden, we need to be on it." So I finally decided.
But I'm here. I don't remember saying that at all, but I'm here.
I definitely said it. I was like, "You've never what?" I need that drop. You've never heard of Joe Budden?
Right.
Like, I need that drop specifically for this album. It's a time capsule. It's a timepiece. It perfectly encapsulates what is 2002, 2003 for me. So
You ain't got no Budden in your Serato?
yeah, it is 2003 to 2005. First start learning to drive. This is a nostalgia piece for me, and
we talking 2003 NBA Finals theme song. We talking about Def Jam Vendetta. We talking Fat Farm. We talking the heyday of Def Jam.
We talking Too Fast, Too Furious. We talking I was about to say Stump Yard. What's the other shit?
You Got Served.
Yeah, you got served. Yeah,
old flexy niggas dancing in the rain.
Do it for Lil Saint.
Right. Pump that shit up for Lil Saint, bitch ass nigga. He dead.
Get your ass off to be in a Lil Kim video for some reason.
Crazy how far that single traveled, and coincidentally how underrated and a lot unheard of this album was.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so I actually ran it through 2.5 times today while at work, and the drive home. I'll go through first, give it a little background history for folks that don't know about this album. So Joe Budden's debut album came out June 10th, 2003. Yes.
What's the name of it, Smilez?
Joe Budden.
Self-titled.
Yeah, so self-titled debut album came out 20 years ago. 20 years in about 6 months, about right now. But production was mainly produced by somebody named Dub B, aka White Boy.
White Boy.
And no, we're not talking about Parks for those that are a fan of the podcast. In 2023, yeah, he did pretty much. He did 17 tracks. Let's see, Just Blaze did 3 of them. Just Blaze did the singles, Pump It Up, Fire, and then he did the other joint, Give Me a Reason, and then the 10 minutes freestyle. Somebody named Lofi or Lo-Fi, he did that joint. Only features was Lil Mo, Busta Rhymes, and 112. At the time,
I was like, that's some heavy hitters at the time, bro.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
2003. Report
Busta Rhymes in 03 is oof.
Yeah, but yeah, Buster was on fire.
112 in 03. Nigga, that's
Yeah.
Peaches and Cream.
Mhm.
Lil Mo, that's
I see
Superwoman.
you looking at me.
Yeah.
I can tell in your eyes that you feel
Feeling me.
Ooh, fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lil Mo in 03. Ooh.
Right.
Yeah,
That was-
well,
That's
I guess it's more about, nowadays, every album got like 16 features. So it's like,
Nigga suck.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I was saying that's pretty. So out of all those, what 3 features that we named,
yeah,
only one of them is a rapper. So
yeah.
Right.
I think. Well, actually, there has to be another feature. It might not be titled. What was it? Damn, I can't remember the song. Not Walk Survivor.
Oh yeah,
That's like, I don't know who that is. It's not really titled on there, but it's like a kind of a singer with them or something like that.
I mean,
Mhm.
Clue is on. You ain't gotta go home.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I did
So
like that.
there's things there, but
Things
yeah,
are
out of that,
happening.
there's only rapper is Busta Rhymes, and then 2 singers or type deals features for a debut album. He was like, look, I'm going for it, and giving you a lot of bars at the time. So
My thoughts of it, just listen to first thoughts. Overall, I definitely thought it was a pretty cool joint because I had to remember, I gotta remember this is back in 2003, so
oh, well, let me
My-
ask you this, because I want to know, and here I'll kind of guide you through it as well, but without putting yourself back in 2003 mode, what does it hit your ears when you just turn on as you're listening to it, or did you have to I gotta put myself in 2003 and put on my baggy jersey and my unfitted hat?
it was more just remembering hey, what you love about Joe Budden, just kind of thing he wasn't that level just yet from when I got hit. Okay, don't expect everything super lyrical, every single song, the less the R&B feature, he wasn't really doing the R&B joints all like that, except for the commercial projects. So I was like, okay, know that this was a commercial album.
Okay.
This is the first debut album, so you're definitely gonna get at least a couple songs that you're not gonna like at all. Which, as I listened to it, I was like, yep, it was a couple songs on there that I was like, yep, this is trash.
Wow, that's heavy, because I don't find it would be hard for me to call anything trash on the album. There might be one song that I just don't like. I would say for the most part, to me, and I guess we'll get to it, it's more so an issue with the beats being so radical that they come off dated.
Yeah.
But me enjoying them, and because of what he's doing with the beat, it's still null and void. I don't even hear the beat because it's so much actual rapping that you don't get anymore. So
Yeah.
that's my thing. But continue. I'm curious, what was the trash and the stuff like that? Let's get into Smilez' fucking brain before I rip my new asshole and really.
I said Porno Star and Survivor were trash to me.
You don't like Porno Star?
No, fuck Porno Star. You don't like Survivor? That
Yeah.
shit is crack.
Yeah, I didn't like Survivor.
Oh, I'm stressed. Okay, continue, Smile.
I didn't like the Lil Mo joint. Also,
Yeah, I was 50-50 on that.
yeah. I said, give me a reason is meh.
What?
I mean,
Other than that, I like them.
yeah, that would give me a reason would be the one that I'm like, yeah, we can throw this one away. And Porno Star is unnecessary. It's probably one of the least joints on my. I don't like the beat. I don't really need. It's kind of overt. It's too much. But
Yeah, I was like, hey, no wonder this was the last song on the project.
It's let's just add some more shit. But I think it's front loaded with heat, and again, it's a lot to like about the project. I'm trying not to jump in with my passion about this, because I really love this album. But What other notes do you have, Smilez, before I unleash the beast?
All right, yeah. I said I love the fact that all the songs is 4 minutes long, except for like 3 or 4 songs. I was like, yes, actual songs, because again
3 verses.
Yes,
yeah, new niggas. Yeah.
You be like, oh, it's about to fade out. No, nigga.
Cause like even 10 minutes, I was like, this is fire. I didn't even know I had to listen to 5 minutes of it. I was like,
oh yeah, this is fire, and I get another 5 minutes of it because it's 10
Yeah.
minutes long. That's crazy.
with a like a verse, some pre-choruses, and some type of like a loose chorus. And he just goes back to another verse about somebody completely different. I love 10 minutes. That is probably my favorite song on the album. But I digress. This is Smilez time.
all right. So then I said, I really love Calm Down, speaking about his mom. So especially thinking like, for those of us that are podcast fans know like how much he talks about his mom and how much he like loves her. So I was like, yo, hearing him say like negative things about my mom, about his mom, was like, that's pretty cool to see the evolution of Joe Budden. Like, yo, he gave her a whole song about like, yo, this is your fault. This is your fault. What the way I am is because of you. I was like, oh, I love it hearing that, knowing the evolution of like, I love my mom. My mom lived with me for like a year and a half. All the shit. Also, Walk With Me was definitely reminiscent of the Joe that we would come to love. I was like, I love Walk With Me. I played that one back as soon as it went off. I was like, oh, let me listen to this one again.
Yeah, that's like probably my second favorite on the album.
But yeah, that's kind of my review overall.
Okay. But Dub, you want to jump in? What are your thoughts about Smilez's thoughts? Mercy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree. Walk With Me is one of my favorites on the album as well. Calm Down was just a crazy record, just all the way through.
To this day.
Yeah, to this day, like, it still holds, the craziness of it still holds up. But yeah, to your point, to both of you guys' point, like, some of it does sound dated. Like, for what was the track? You Ain't Gotta Go Home sounds like the most 2000s mixtape beat ever. And I was like, damn, are these the beats I was picking?
Are these the beats that I was picking back then?
What's going on? And then I remember how much I love the song Pusher Man. I was like,
yep.
Oh yeah. I played that one like 3 times.
And I remember being in college and me and Lo talking about the lines about shotguns.
Yeah.
Just because Detroit niggas
shotgun. Like shotgun.
I'm 4.5s. I like shotguns. Niggas talking about they kill niggas, but never shotguns. I was like, this is great. This is great. And then that's where I would disagree with you, Smilez. To me, the bars were there.
Facts.
The bars were there. The introspection was there.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't gone through the Move Music 2 shit yet.
Yeah, to figure out
Mm-hmm.
the industry and like, okay, this is unjaded. I have a record deal. I'm trying to surface all our points. Like, so we need to hit all these fan bases. So we got the chick record, then we got the club banger, kind of give an ode to Jersey. We got mad odes to the basis and the beginning of hip hop, is like showing that I do have knowledge. I think number 1 does a great job of showcasing that. It definitely feels like a old school.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the pre Pump It Up. Number 1 is like, should be technically like the intro to Pump It Up.
Okay.
Because it feels that way. It's like, all right, it's number 1. It's just all the shit that you used to remember, and it feels like that. It's like the nostalgia piece, which is great, and then goes right into Pump It Up, which is also that. And even Fire with Busta Rhymes has that same, and I would argue to death, anybody who wants to have that argument, that song is far better than Chris and Neef version that end up actually coming out like 2 weeks earlier, and then taking off. And I was like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This Joe Budden version is way better.
Loud and clear. Jersey's here.
I was like, I love that song. but yeah, so I would say, like Dub was saying, all of the things that we would come to know Joe for and love it or hate are showcased on this album. The bars are there by far, and I think honestly, even the introspection and the I would say, and the vulnerability is there, and that's immediately what drew me to the project, because it's not just hollow rapping, and maybe that's why no matter, regardless of the beats and any of that shit, I can throw it away because I remember how the songs made me feel, because I know like the lyrics made me know him as a person, what he was saying. So when he goes and talks about again,
he had, I heard the baby mama, I heard him talking about it. Yeah, his dad. We talked about his mom.
His dad talks about his mom. Talks about struggles with drugs.
Yep.
Talks about just the love for hip hop. Again, that's showcased on Number One and things like that. And then Survivor, which you hate. I love that song because it's such a, like, not a song like a typical song. It, like he says that, I give me my Sam Cooke tapes and stuff like that. It sounds like it's just kind of just, it's just very unconventional. So it's, this album, as much as the beats might be dated, is still ahead of its time as far as like how it's structured and what it sounds like when what he's doing with the tracks. Because again, Walk With Me is such a journey, and I think he paints such a picture almost on most of the records that aren't like clearly reaches for single hits. Yeah, like these are all like, you close your eyes, this is a story, and it's rap. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And that's what I loved about hip hop. That's what I loved about music, and that's what I think is technically missing from music at this point in time. But this was like took me back in a spaceship, and I was like, oh my god, I fucking love this. I had my first car at the time, and I'm blasting this consistently, and I was like, man, this is so good. But yeah, for the most part, everything felt so refreshing, but yet not like devoid of substance, if that makes sense. And you know, people weren't necessarily doing that at the time. They were rapping about shit, but either you was killing 82 people a la 50 Cent, or you just had, you know, I think Jeezy was on his way into the game, so not just yet. I don't think it hit just yet, but it was close. And it's like,
I think you said like Lil Jon and all them was popular around the time.
Yeah, Super Crunk Mode. But again, it wasn't like you weren't learning things about people. So this felt like a diary, and like, this is just really good intro music about this person. Like, I knew nothing about Joe. It was like, fell in love with this album. Like, man, this nigga's just like me in a sense. And then even I know we talked about hating the beat, and I was like, fuck, I forgot about You Ain't Gotta Go Home. That was one of my favorite songs. The beat is horrible. It's horrible at this point now. Like, it aged horribly, but still has one of my favorite like bars and schemes in there, where he's telling the chick, like, you too aggressive. Like, I don't even want you because of how easy you want me, and you're making it so easy that it makes me uncomfortable. And that's something I've been saying. Yeah, I was like, I've clearly heard you say that multiple times. I was saying this in high school. I was like, I don't even want to mess with a chick like that. And then when he fucking put it into word form for music, I was like, oh my god, this nigga is great. This is me. This is me if I was rapping. This is great. So yes, that shit like that resonates over the beats and things like that. And that's just how I listen to music, because I'm not like a beat first person. The beat definitely can help, but it's more like, what are you saying? How are you saying it? Is it swaggy enough? Like, you can tell a lot about people through that, and I think that's a lost art we don't necessarily get anymore. People aren't as personable in their music because they're social media faces. So you see all the
like, you know my life, just go to my page.
Yeah, we all got podcasts, or we all doing content and blah blah. It's like, I don't want that. Like, make good music that kind of expose you to music. And that's why it's been highly publicized, even with, and ironic, the beef that him and Drake had, because I'm like, he was the original Drake. He was talking about the women and talking about his life and stuff like that, where the original Drake was doing that. He was talking about his mom crying on his sleeve and he got to make her proud, and she's standing in the driveway, she only 5'4", blah blah blah, you know, all that shit. That's the introspectiveness that I miss in music, and that again Drake showcased really well back in the day, and Joe was doing it first, and he had kind of gave him his props for doing that. So you can tell the influence there, which I love.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. So besides that, you know, we want to also really get into some of his other discography, because for me, again, I got hip. Well, actually, when we were in college, you know, being around you, A-Dub, being around Erie, E-Ray, and everybody just playing it. You know, Erie when he used to do the Vans at Enclave. Yep. So he used to be playing that Joe Budden all the time. And I'm like, this nigga is nice. Like, what? And he told me like, yeah, this is Mood Music like 2 or whatever was out of the time. I'm like,
I got Erie hip to Mood Music too. Don't let them tell you different.
all right. So well, thanks to you getting Erie hip, he got me hip. Right. So thank you, Dub.
He heard it third hand.
Yep.
Third hand props. You got it.
I do what I can.
But yeah, I just remember just like, yo, this nigga is ill. Like, this is Joe Budden, like Pump It Up guy. Like,
right, which I think was probably the reinvention, because of that's all people knew for. It went too big, and that happens often. Sometimes the single is bigger than you, and if no one tuned in to hear the rest of this, because I've gotten suckered many a times. I was like, let me tune into this because the single is so great, and then you get the album and it's nothing like that, but in the bad way. Like I don't want to shoot, but I recall back in the day, Cash Money was the hottest thing ever. This is like right when Master P and all the No Limit Soldiers, fucking Mr. Servon and all that shit was coming out. Then they started to fade, and then you had Cash Money just launching everything. Juvenile had Back That Thing Up, aka Back That Ass Up, and I'm like, this song is so fucking great. It's not even what it is now. Now it's like the nostalgia ass shaking
it's like
anthem.
The ass, like the ass national anthem.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
like, if you have a real party and you don't play that, what is wrong with you?
Oh, so no, when people hear that shit, it's like a bat signal. They gotta run to the floor.
Even the chicks who was like, I ain't dancing at all, who are like,
right.
Oh, but
Cash Money ticket. Like, yeah. So that song was so powerful. I was like, oh, I gotta have this album. And then I got the album, and I didn't like 98% of it. I was like, I'm just listening to Back That Ass Up
on repeat.
And then I didn't even like it that much because I'm a youngster, and Back That Ass Up doesn't sound as good as Girl, You Look Good, Won't You Back That Thing Up. Like, it sounded better, the radio version. Back That Ass Up was too aggressive to me. I'm like, I don't like this. So basically it was that and Ha. I'm like, I don't really like anything else. So
classic.
Right. But
what a rap.
that is, or I've had other instances same way where I was like, oh man, I love the single, but you can throw the rest of this shit away. Joe didn't have that, but because the single was so big, it was divisive. Some people loved it, but it went too pop, so people were like anti it, and they never discovered the actual album. So people didn't even know what he had to offer. He was a victim of circumstance because this is the same time Def Jam going through transitional phases. I was one of those kids that was going to the mall every weekend when he's like, oh shit, the growth is coming. I'm going to the mall like I'm an FYE coconuts.
Yes.
He sells some beer. Nope, no album. And this wasn't the Twitter days, so I couldn't just find out, oh no, that shit's been
pushed back a month.
Nah, it just wasn't
all
there.
you had was the booklets and other Def Jam releases that would tell you the date, and you would just have to show
King magazines and shit. Like, oh yeah, it's about to be in there. No.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Nope.
You was reading King magazines for Joe Budden news? Oh, okay, brother.
Yeah, maybe I was scouting maybe I was scouting like him too. He was like, oh shit, my next, you know. But regardless, I'm looking at it and I was like, damn, that's crazy. So I'm waiting for this, and it just never came to be. So I think I got the Worst of Joe Budden project, which was it was a mixtape called The Worst of Joe Budden. And it was a bunch of his freestyles and like over other beats and shit. And I was like, that was like in the place of the growth. And I was like, I found it at the record exchange. I was like, oh, this is so fucking fire. I wish I had it to this day. I probably can find it and download it. Great project of all the old freestyle. I would love to go back and listen to that too. I was listening to that in the first album for like 3 years. And that's kind of that transitional space. And then he went like underground. I'm about to just kill shit. And that's when you got the super just, all right, I'm not trying to go for fan appeal. I'm super jaded. Fuck everybody. I'm about to just kill shit. Joe Budden, where you get the mood music, the loose quarters,
halfway house, padded room,
all that shit. So that is what I'm familiar with. But Dub, what would you say is your favorite Joe Budden project?
It's Moon Music 2. Like,
interesting.
I say to this day that is the greatest mixtape of all time. Like, and there isn't a close second. From starting that mixtape off with Donny Hathaway singing a song for you, you knew you were in for some shit. And then are you in that mood? Like, it just goes and goes and goes.
That mood yet?
And like when you think he's giving you all the emotion, Get It Poppin' comes on. He's like, no, nigga, I still got these bars. And like from there, back to emotion. And then when you think, oh, it's all emotion again, he drops Dumb Out. Dumb Out is one of the craziest tracks I've ever heard in my entire life. 6 minutes of him telling you why none of these niggas can fuck with him at all, and proving it with every type of literal element that rap is supposed to have, from the metaphors to the similes to everything like that. And then when your mind is just blown off of that, wait, guys, more emotion. Like, to me, it's a perfect project. It's legitimately a perfect project. And like, to me, this is the growth, like right here. And then he ends it with 3 sides to a story, telling that crazy ass story. And then the stain. So like, come on. Yeah. Come on. And Moon Music 2 to me, that's like, I like the Joe Budden, the original album, but when this one came out, that's when I became a member of the church. I was like, nah, y'all gonna stop playing on Joe's name, man.
No, brother.
No, brother. Let me tell you something here, brother. But other than that, like,
listen to something, brother.
I also love Moon Music 3 as well.
I was gonna say
Just,
that's
probably
the
phenomenal.
most. I think that one probably, if on average, that's probably the one that had got the most popularity, I would say.
Yeah.
Not sure why or how. I just remember the cover art, and that one just seems like the one that blew up, and everybody really caught on with and start waiting and were anticipating the Moon Music series.
Because Moon Music 3, that was around the time Satellite Radio was getting bigger. So he was able to go out and promote it on like non-traditional platforms. That feature with Joel Ortiz on it got me really hip to how great Joel was. I was just getting hip to Joel Ortiz. And then I heard that feature, I'm like, oh no, this guy different.
And I'm asking because I don't recall, was Mood Music 3 the one that had I think it was the song that had him, Fab,
Family Reunion. Yep.
Was that
Family Reunion?
Yeah.
I was saying like 6 Minutes of Death or something like that.
Oh, that had J Mills and Stack Bundles on it.
Yeah,
that was on Mood Music too.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
I love that song. I still listen to it. Like,
yes.
It's crazy.
Same. But yeah, like Moon Music 3, that's had the warfare with Joel on it, which was our first inkling into the Slaughterverse, if you will, because then Halfway House comes out, I want to say 6-7 months later, that has all the Slaughterhouse guys on it and terminology. I know I'm getting a little head smiles, but it's fine. I just love Moon Music 3 so much. And then he introduces us to Imani, who he would collab with a lot. He was the first person to do a song with Mr. Probs, who went on to do that song Waves that blew up on the EDM charts.
Yeah,
And that's why we never saw him in hip hop ever again.
Oh,
he
the
pulled
EDM checks is a little different.
You pulled a Mike Posner.
Oh,
he pulled a Mike Pasta.
I'm out of here. I'm gonna be walking for 15 days straight. What?
Mr. Probs was like,
doing that?
long way to go. And then he made that song Wave After Wave. Wave
Yeah.
after
Oh,
wave.
wow.
And he saw that check. He said, yeah, I'm not
That's
thinking
true.
of none of these rapper niggas calls no more.
Facts.
Where's Tiesto?
Look at Pitbull and Flow Rider.
Telling you. Y'all niggas don't get it, man. The pop checks look way different. They don't look funny in the light. Ain't nobody playing with your publishing over there. They got it.
So if I had to choose, it's kind of tough for me because I love the self-titled original project. Joe Budden album is great, but in the evolution of Joe, I think Mood Music 4 might be like my favorite, possibly.
That was my pick.
Because Dark Cloud is
It
insane.
came out in 2010? What?
Yeah, it's weird. Right?
It seems like shorter than that and longer than that at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mop Salad skit alone cracks me up. I always listen to that. Killer BH. Just fucking nuts.
Shout out to Killer BH, man. Yellow Sneakers.
Right.
But Black Cloud is one of the greatest songs ever. It's so powerful. It does it for me. And
I love Sober Up on that project.
Yeah.
It's like it's a lot of greatness.
That whole project is amazing.
Yeah. But I'm gonna probably surprise y'all a lot with this one. Padded Room.
See,
I love Padded Room.
See, that was like my overall favorite choice, but the best one is because I said that was like when I was like, oh, this nigga Joe is like really like becoming one of my favorites.
He's like that, and I will say, I think Padded Room is probably my favorite project. In that time frame, and I have one more because it's like almost like a three-way tie, but Padded for different reasons. I think Mood Music was so in its moody bag, like it was dark as fuck, and I was like, oh, I loved it. I was going lifting, listening to this shit, and I was doing big weights, feeling crazy, like I'm insane right now. I love that. But Padded Room was like the most polished. It was to me, it's like perfect. It has the raps, it has the schemes, it has the concepts. The songs that I was thinking about, the Future with Game is like the perfect single. Like that could have went places. I like, oh, I love that. Yeah. But then X's is just a fucking crazy ass song. Like it's a rapper's song. Like, oh shit, it's like it's talk about itself in the end. Or In My Sleep, like it's so many fucking good songs on it. I was like, Padded Room is what I think like a updated version of the original debut album. But then sleeper pick, honorable mention, I would probably say is Rage in the Machine. Okay, I love that project. It comes on so fucking crazy. Like that if you never heard the song 3, Joe goes fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I was like, Uncle Joe.
That's what I was like, that was a great way to go out. Like if that was gonna be the last project gave us that was a great
Uncle
way
Joe made me really realize I was an old ass nigga.
Yeah. I was somewhere in Arizona, probably going through a breakup in my drop top convertible, blasting Uncle Joe about to go see some hoes.
Like sick
nigga,
work.
Right.
King
Smiles,
of the
get this man his nasty award.
King of the depressed D. I'm just slang.
King of the depressed D.
Wipe these tears from my eyes. You want so happy. Yes. Man, it was a time. What a time.
Nigga E-Ray crying a drop top, listening to
2016.
Joe about how he knew Khaled before Terror Squad, about to go slang some old dick to some hoes. What a time. What a time in 2016 that guy was living.
Yeah. 2016.
Wild times, guys. But this is what I'm saying. It was so fantastic. And then even Time for Work with Imani, really great song. I think that's probably one of my favorite of their collabs. besides like Only Human. I think he let Imani go crazy on Only Human. For the Love Lost series. But just fantastic work. But those would be my favorite. If I had to choose, I'm probably going with Padded Room because it's like the perfect one to me. But I really love a lot of those projects.
Padded Room was like my personal favorite because that was when I was solidified. Like, okay, I like Joe Budden. Joe Budden really has made me like, I'm anticipating whatever he comes with next.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, I gotta get more because if he's going off like this and giving it up like this, yeah, I need more of this because this guy is
right. He giving it up like this. I need that.
I need that. Give me more.
I'm not supposed to double down, Smilez. Whoa, pause. All
right. Whoa.
Well, but yeah, like I said, Padded Room, Mood Music 4, and those like my two top pick favorites. Then well, actually, yeah, let's get to the fun question before I kind of transition to the other part I want to talk about with Joe.
What's your favorite Ordinary Love Shit song? Part 2.
That's what we was doing. Part 3, Forever.
Yeah,
Forever over Novocaine. Just insane.
Wait, is part 3 over Novocaine? Oh yeah, part 3 is over Novocaine. I'm sorry, part 3. Yes.
Yeah, part 1 and 2 are Sade tracks. Part 3, Novocaine. I was like,
yeah.
1 and 2 is for y'all. Third one's for me.
Third one's for me.
That shit was. I still listen to that. Like I got just some angry ex. Fuck you sucking off Derek Ward.
I was about to say, why is Jordy fucking Derek?
Why? I ain't know it was Hotel His House. Said the WAP. Man, I know that shit front to back. I will listen. There. Okay. So sorry, derailing just a bit. There was literally an argument that broke out. I'm trying to think. Prior to, I want to say maybe just before for a birthday party. Went to dinner, debating with our young homie Zay about Joe Budden. I was like, you look bad. Joe Budden didn't even know that. I was like, because he's a super Drake stan.
Yeah.
I'm like, and he's like, oh, Joe don't even nobody know his music. And I was like, oh, bro, like you too young. I was like, you had to be there. He's like, you can't even. I was like, if you're like a really lover of bars and music, I will create a Joe Budden playlist for you and just give you the shit that you need in there.
Stop
like
listening to Drake.
There's so many things that you need. And I was like, no, he's always gonna be a Drake head.
Yeah.
But there's some things like, oh, okay, he's never seen a Drake album he didn't like. But
that's disgusting.
Right. But that's the younger crowd. So I'm like, okay, but let me at least do my due diligence to inform you or give you what's necessary. But we were having this heated exchange about Joe and music and blah blah, etc. so forth. And I'm like, you gotta hear. And as I was putting together I made a playlist. I never gave it to him because I had to finish it. So I was like, I gotta do like, it's gotta be pristine. I gotta have all the Joe. So I had to go back into my bag. Like, let me go into my Joe bag. Listen, but I had Black Cloud, Fire, Ordinary Love Shit 1, 2, and 3. Remember the Titans, featuring Fab.
Oh yeah, I love.
6 Minutes of Death. 10 Minutes. 3. Only Human. OLS 4. Poker in the Sky.
Ooh.
And well, I did put Wake on there. I was looking for the other one, the other Drake disc.
Making a Murder.
Like
Making a Murder.
Yeah, the one where he used the sample. That shit was hard. And then of course, like a sleeper favorite. I couldn't help it. That might be one of the coldest like storytelling joints ever. How'd I do? If he hears that, what do you think? How do you think he reacts?
He'll apologize.
Yeah.
He will apologize to you, and he might even call up to the pod and try to leave them a voicemail.
I'm sorry.
So sorry. Hey Joe, I was sorry. I was.
He said, I paid the $50 just to write in.
Right. I was not familiar with your game.
I
You know
apologize
ball.
for that.
You know ball. But yeah, I felt like I had to do. I'm still gonna do that actually. So we may be able to get some updates on this at a later date. But that was just one of those things. It was so organic that it happened. So I was
You
like,
definitely
yeah,
got to
of
put
course.
Making a Murder on there.
Yeah. I of course
Tell
because
them
of
you
the
can't
Drake.
Bell Biv your way out of this one. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's BA Black IRS, aka Black Wall Street in the building.
This is E-Ray, the quasi bad guy, the Diet Coke of evil, Peen Malenko. Of course, the American cream, Brody Loads.
And I am your pod guy, your pod tribal chief, the boy A-Dub in the building. And this is Let Me Book the Territory, the greatest four-man wrestling podcast known to mankind.
Absolutely. And you can catch us now on Inaudible Ruckus Presents. And we'll be here every Friday, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're ready for it, to sweet me when you see me and let the madness run wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one with the sample on there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I listen
What's
to
the
it every
sample?
listen to it every workout. The sample of Drake talking about how much he loves Budden? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It's
Well,
right before the third verse.
It was one that he actually sampled a Drake song. And that's not Making a Murder, but it's not on DSPs. That's the one I was looking for. I can't remember if they played it.
Fuck.
I love
I
it.
know the name of it if I see it.
Yeah, I know. That's I'll forget. We'll find it.
Yeah.
Either way.
It's fine. It's
Onto
fine.
the funny smiles. What you got?
Oh, yeah. So, thought about it earlier as, again, listen to these tracks because as soon as I got done listening to the album, like the second through, title just automatically went to another song, similar song. So it went to a Slaughterhouse track, and that made me think of, I wonder, I was like, because, those of us that are Slaughterhouse fans, Joe Budden fans, and all that, maybe like, damn, I really wish we would have actually got that final or that shady debut album or whatever and whatnot. So I thought, well, if we could recast Slaughterhouse with two guys, replacing Crooked Eye and Joel Ortiz, or recasting everybody around Joe, what would y'all pick? So I'm gonna go first, and I said, to replace Crooked Eye, I would go with Game just because of him and Joe having the Future song, and I was like, if you want to replace Joel Ortiz, I would go with Lloyd Banks. So I was like, Joe Budden, Lloyd Banks, Royce the 5'9", and Game would be my new Slaughterhouse.
That might be the most genius shit you've ever said in your life. There's nothing I can say about that. I was like, God damn, that's great. Like, really good. I got nothing. That's impressive. You win. You did it. All right. Well, next guy.
Right. Next subject. Can't
broke me. You broke it. It's over. I don't know what to do now. Yeah, no, I think that's incredible. I love all those pieces. I think Joel and Crook, fantastic artists, but replacing them with like upgrades that are on the same or higher trajectory as Joe and Royce.
Mm-hmm.
I think that works so well because, again, I'm a fan of all of these artists separately. Like, I was a big fan of Royce with the Bad Meets Evil series in Detroit Rock City. Like, I was big on Royce. And then when I was like, oh, wait, him and Joe? And I was like, I love Joe, of course. And then Lloyd Banks, can't nobody tell me that debut album isn't phenomenal. We've had this argument
Right.
before. I forget what niggas was saying, but I was like, y'all better put some.
What was the nigga saying about the hunger for more?
Some disrespectful shit. Smilez
Oh yeah,
was
because we were talking about Game versus Lloyd Banks.
Yeah, so no, we were talking about which album was the best, like the debut of the other G Unit members, and they were like, Game's album was the best, and then Young Buck, and then Lloyd Banks. I'm like, y'all are insane. Like, the documentary is great.
Okay, first of all, that's not fair because the documentary is literally the best A&R album of all time. Like,
but
the whole building was behind G Unit at that point, but it's because there was 3 other niggas that paved the way. Banks' album is
and 50 Cent
beautiful.
that wrote all the songs that you cared about.
Right.
So it's it's difficult to like play because it has so much mass appeal, but also the beats curate all that shit, but the rapping on it is ass. So it has the highest appeal, but I'm like, this ain't better than like what Lloyd Banks was doing. Like On Fire still gets played to this day. Playboy
Magic?
to this day. Like, he was doing crazy shit. And then Young Buck, I was like, Young Buck probably has the best of them all, honestly. Low key, Young Buck album was incredible. That debut was fire. I put Game at number 3. It was the most successful, but it's not the best quality album to me. That's just me. But again, we were having that discussion. I think Lloyd Banks fits amazingly in the Game as well. And all of them have gotten better at the style of rapping
that they do. Yep.
Now, so if they were to form this super group, Slaughterhouse 2.0, shit would be insane for us. Like, people wouldn't give a fuck probably, but
probably not.
I don't know. I would love it. I'm like, man, this is incredible because I love.
They could say $25 for the album. I'm like, here goes my $25.
Yeah, I would pay the $100. I'll pay $100 for this album. Like the Nipsey.
The Nipsey.
Yep. I would say I'd do it.
Yeah, I'd do that. Klarna.
And I get that shit on vinyl.
PayPal and for it.
Yeah, nigga, I'm collecting vinyls now. Like, give me that shit on vinyl. $100. I'm with it. Dub.
So I went
who's
like
your Slaughterhouse?
I went completely left field. I didn't just say give me the 2G Unit niggas. I was just like, you know what? Let me really think about it. And the West Coast comes out of it completely. I'm taking Crook out, and I'm putting in Killer Mike.
Okay.
At the time, really starting to come into his own. Run the Jewels isn't popping yet, but it's been established. Killer Mike got bars.
Killer Mike also has the best album of this year.
Yes.
Yes.
And honestly, like taking out Joel, I'm just gonna kind of keep it with the original song. I'm gonna keep Terminology in there. I was a big Terminology guy back when that song originally came out, so I would keep him in it. And just like, because the wordplay was insane, you still keep that New York connection going. But the big addition, throw Killer Mike in there, see what happens.
Okay, I like that.
Let those motherfuckers bar off.
So don't kill me. I have no idea who Terminology is. So
do you remember the original Slaughterhouse song?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
he's on that.
Okay.
Because Slaughterhouse original. Well, Slaughterhouse was originally
just a song.
Charles Hamilton's idea.
Okay.
But that nigga went crazy.
Oh, see, yeah, I didn't even know that. Man.
That's why he's not on the original song that was on Padded Room, or no, it was on Halfway House. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Terminology was on that song, and Terminology was gonna be in the group, but then because the rest of them niggas was really old niggas and can't decide shit, Terminology's like, you know what? I'm gonna just go continue doing my thing over here. Yeah. And then the group happens like a year later.
Yeah.
Terminology was supposed to be in the group originally.
I was like, oh, that sample was crazy.
Yeah.
I love me a good rock sample in my raps. I was like, oh shit, Joe back with some shit, and Royce. I was like, oh, this is crazy. But
yeah, because I wasn't a fan of Crooked Eye, and I was just like, I've heard of him, but I ain't never heard listened to this nigga's music.
And I'm such an East Coast ear that I'm like, I've heard of Joel, but never wanted to listen to his project. It's a little more Spanishy rap. And I'm like, I'm not listening to that. And Crooked, I'm like, I don't fuck with anything West Coast for real like that. It was not. I'm such an East Coast ear, East Coast Midwest guy. So I'm like, I rock with these two. And I was like, I like what they doing on the songs, and I love that original Slaughterhouse album as well. But I didn't necessarily need them to, but they worked well together. And then Joe kind of closed out each of the songs, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Me, I don't know. I couldn't really. It was hard to think conceptually, so I just was like, well, what would I like to hear? So I was like, I could take out Joel and add Fab, because that I feel like that's a natural fit. Him and Fab just work. Still,
hey, triangle offense, Fab, Joe, and Paul Kane.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
You still get that same New York connection. You still get the camaraderie, the bars, the punchlines, and shit like that. Then I love the slick talk. It just works. And then I was struggling with like a third, but I was like, well,
you don't fuck with them West Coast niggas. Fuck them.
I don't. But then I was like, what about somebody like a sneakier young guy that still gets some respect, like Big Crit?
I was thinking Crit too.
And I was like, that would work because he's not. Because I was thinking about somebody bigger, but I was like, that might throw off the chemistry of the group, like Ludacris or something. So I was like, I don't know if that would work. So I was like, well, somebody still a little bit of Southern, but has
still can
bars,
bar you up.
Yeah, can do that, and they would respect. Because then I had some other ones that I would just like, but I'm like, that's not gonna work per se. Because I was trying to think about what's another young guy that can get in there, but I think Crit is probably that perfect fit. But I would be interested to see what if you slide in somebody else. I was like, Crit and a possible. Like, what about maybe Wale? Just to hear what that would sound like. Because again, I wanted to see how Wale is influenced by just hearing straight bars. Like, he's like, look, I ain't even fucking around with this shit. And the competitive nature of all that.
Yeah,
that would
like,
be fun.
Like I'm in the studio with Joe Budden and Royce the 5'9" right now.
Oh yeah, nuts.
So
we ain't coming out with Lotus Flower Bomb on
Wale
this.
is interesting because, like, when you think about,
they do. Maybe you could take them more commercial.
That's true. When you think about the first MMG album, Ross picked a lot of those beats, and he picked a lot of like posse cut beats, and Wale was floating on those, and you were like, oh, okay, no, yeah, Wale that dude. Like, I remember specifically Pandemonium, one of my favorite songs off of that album. I was like, Wale had the best verse, and it wasn't close. And then he had the song on that same album with Jadakiss, 600 Bends.
Yes.
I'm like, these aren't beats that Wale would pick.
And that's why I was scared. I remember that time because I was like, oh shit, Wale going gangsta Wale. I was like, no, this is about to be trash.
But he was still him, and it was so good.
Then he tricked them, and he dropped Lotus Flower Bomb. And was like, no, I'm MMG, but you still getting Wale. But I just use their notoriety, and here's this fantastic project.
Yeah, because he literally said the producers, he like, that weren't answering my call before MMG, after MMG was like, oh yeah, I'm sending you that pack right now. I got you.
I bet. And
so
I was like,
Wale would be a very cool choice. And him and Joe did work together on Wale's tapes, I think Back to the Future.
Which needs to be on streaming. That's literally.
Well, you
not
in a
really,
group
because they're
chat
gonna
with the
just
niggas,
bastardize
so
it.
just tell them that.
They're gonna bastardize it just like they did I'm still looking for.
The Big Sean. Yeah.
No. More about nothing. Mixtape, which is Wale.
No, wasn't it the Big Sean one that you was mad that they changed up?
No. That was Wiz Khalifa.
Wiz Khalifa, yeah.
Cushion Orange Juice.
Yeah, because I remember you going off about that. Like,
are my favorite, like, two of my top 5 favorite mixtapes of all time. And both of them are ruined.
Yeah, Friends and Strangers, still one of my all-time favorite songs. The breakup song,
Little Pre-Cum. Oh my god, I love that song.
What a record.
I also listened to recently when I went to go pick up my mom from the airport.
If Joe was the soundtrack to my 2003, 2004, More About Nothing was definitely the soundtrack, like my 2010, 2009, 2010. I was wild, and I was having such a great time.
The posse cut, like, More About Nothing is an amazing project.
It's incredible.
It is.
I'm mad because they took off the fucking intro. And I was you need DeBarge singing that shit and him going crazy like a phlebotomist. Bring that shit back. Damn, I missed. I gotta find that. I'm going to hunt for the original More About Nothing over again because I refuse to listen to that bullshit they released on streaming, and I'm hoping maybe the vinyl is correct. But sidebar aside, I think that would be my favorite, like, Slaughterhouse. Two younger guys, so maybe Crit and Wale, and then have
Royce and Joe,
and it'd just be a mixture of those energies, the creativity, the different, the DMV. Then you got down south, you got Midwest, and
two
East Coast.
old angry niggas, one young angry nigga, and one southern nigga who just wants to get his respect.
Right.
Sounds great to me.
Right. That's what I was like. That
Sounds like the recipe for a good album, brother.
Did it again. Did it on the fly, baby. Love it.
Overall, I just kind of wanted everybody's opinion on how do y'all feel about Joe's overall legacy, you know, from, you know, the Joe Budden album to the mixtapes to Slaughterhouse to now becoming considered one of the best podcasters in the game. Just really just overall, just to wrap it up, just what's y'all's overall thoughts of Joe's legacy?
One word, complicated. Because the first album, as much as we like it, is a mixed bag across the board for people. The underground people swear by him from the Mood Music series all the way up. And then you have this whole period of just Joe just being an asshole and putting himself on camera, which led to the podcast. When, regardless of what we think, the podcast is one of the most divisive things in all of the culture right now. Yep. So very complicated. I would liken it to a CM Punk. Those who love him, love him. Those who hate him, you can't really tell them otherwise. And he is self-destructive. But also he ushered in this era of rap, as short-lived as it was, of you don't have to be shoot 'em up all the time. You can have your emotions. You can deal with some shit. And then, you know, you see people like Wale, like Cudi, like Drake, like none of them happen without Joe happening. So to me, that's it.
Ushered in the era of the blogger.
Yeah, you usher in that, and the blog era podcast
he did
is phenomenal. Like, so he ushered in that era of being vulnerable in your raps, which was something that was really brand new. And then after that, messiness.
Right, smashing every single chick that I've ever thought of. Like, man, I love her. Oh shit, Joe got her. What's happening?
And then having a horrible breakup with her.
Yep, and then making the greatest song ever about it.
Yep,
love it. That's the type
and then
of shit
wash, repeat.
Yep.
To this day, I'm like, man, Esther Baxter, man, she did Joe wrong. But if she posts on Instagram, I'm like, man, that nigga need to apologize.
She could do me wrong too. That's exactly it.
Oh, man, that nigga need to apologize. She ain't did nothing that wrong.
All right.
Derek Ward might have been a really nice guy.
Right?
Derek Ward might have been a really nice guy.
Derek Ward was just providing a home for her in a tumultuous situation. Like, we don't know.
Hotel His House probably was a really nice place.
Right. That was just the name of the Wi-Fi. It was
probably had
Hotel His
Egyptian
House.
linens and shit. Right. Yeah, Joe need to apologize.
Right.
Wrong with that man.
Hey, the Houston Texans wasn't that bad. What's
He could afford a new laptop. He was tripping.
Wasn't Skype, wasn't Uvu. God damn. I have to say, Joe has had probably one of my favorite career turns, and like showing people how to and that you can live a life after this, whatever your first act is. Like, again, I've been like a good fan of Joe for, again, since I heard the album.
20 years.
This was my introduction to Joe Budden. I was like, man, this is great. Then also this nigga's on Def Jam Fight for Vendetta with like no distinguishable characteristics. He's just a light-skinned nigga with a big t-shirt. I was like, oh, I gotta Joe.
That's Joe.
That's Joe.
Yeah, he was the street baller.
Exactly. I was like, they should have put some rocks in his hand and a dirty white beard, but that was too far ahead of their time. They wasn't aware of that. And then to, again, like you said, the introspective raps, then going underground and being like the people's champ, and you be like, oh, y'all ain't heard of Joe. Oh, let me put you onto this and hear some shit like when this was when bars were bars and people just desired that. And then you could still, get the shit about like the relationships and the blah blah blah. So you had so much to offer from him, but then him saying, you know what, I got into podcasting in probably 2014 when Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz started Brilliant Idiots.
Yeah.
And I never went back. I was like, I was there, then I was a loudspeakers guy, so it was them,
Combat Jack, and I would listen to Combat Jack sporadically when they had different people out, but it wasn't until a weekly listen, like every week, and I downloaded the podcast app until Brilliant Idiots. And then from there, it was like, okay, what else does loudspeaker have? Because I only got this 1.5 hours every week. I need more content. I'm downloading other pods, and then I found out I'll name this podcast. I'm like, oh, Joe got a pod, and he fucks with Peter Rosenberg, which again, it's another Hot 97, all the shit. So I'm listening to all that, and then to see where that show started, well, I'm like, I don't like this because they're not saying enough. They're not giving it up like I want them to give it up, and it's being PC. Oh yeah, I noticed. So Joe just seems aggravated the whole time in the very beginning of the pod. But then as soon as Rory steps in, sorry, but they got Marissa out, and then Maul steps in, and I'm like, oh, this is my favorite pod now. And it was gold, and it was a golden era. Then it went 2 times a week. Incredible era. It's like, oh my god, we're gonna get more. Yes,
right. And then the breakup, and like, so all the other pods that I listen to, Joe has been consistent with what I enjoy, regardless of the shit, regardless of the co-host, him like revolutionizing certain aspects of podcasting, the beef, the boasting, whatever. Whether he's number 1 or number 40 of all pods, who cares? To me, I think it is just a tried and true way to see somebody evolve, and dope to see that in the older age. Because even then, you still look at Joe Budden TV. I just was watching a clip of him and Ish. And I was like, dog, you could literally, if you don't have the visual, this is yesterday. But that shit was shot 15 years ago. They're arguing about Rihanna versus Beyonce, or Rihanna versus Keisha Cole. And it sounds crazy to reference. I'll send y'all the link.
Oh yeah, I gotta check that out.
What? But it sounds exactly like Ish. Everything he says now that you'll hear, he says it there. So I was like, they were podding, and like again, much like us, we've been podding for years before we knew what podding is. So I never like to imitate, but I always can appreciate what he has put in the sphere. And again, me and my friends have been enjoying the same type of medium and trying to create the same type of success through mirroring and kind of watching some of the things that have been done and came before us that have been successful. So I'm appreciative of that legacy. And again, just like I'm gonna send to old boy to let him know what's going on, that he ain't no ball. I think the music is solidified. If we never get another Joe Budden song, perfectly fine, because I got enough in the tuck. So again, divisive as hell. Definitely on that CM Punk wave of self-destructing, like one of the legends in 2 games, like Pee Wee Kirk. But you know, not everybody's gonna know what you know about him, and I think that's kind of the fun about it.
Yep. But you actually summed up everything perfectly, E-Ray. But just to go along with that, is just the fact that, yeah, Joe's legacy to me is just a guy who just won't give up. Don't matter what odds are against him. It's like, yeah, you love him or you hate him, because even especially women, when I say, oh, Joe Budden, oh, you like Joe Budden, and it's like, I don't even want to go through like trying to explain why. like yes, you know, like the clips or the rents. Yep. Even my mom said something. I was like, because I was talking to my girl, she was like, oh, you like that Joe Budden guy? Every time I hear him, it's something bad. I was like, you know, Mom, all you hear about is whatever you hear on the radio. It's like, I don't even want to go through all that. I'm trying to clip.
Got it. Like, did you watch the whole context? Nope. Got it.
Yep. Okay. It's like, all y'all saw was whatever was on Instagram. It's like, I don't even want to go through it trying to explain to you and even try to defend him. Like, I'm a fan. Yes, I also pay for his podcast. Yes, I do. Okay, right, yeah, yes. You're not gonna get me to change my mind. Whatever you think. But
the original Patreon.
Right.
Ask your question, Smilez. Joe, I've been paying for this shit for 42 years.
Right. And then also shout out to my girl Tan from Hear You Podcast, because she was the first girl that openly was like, I love Joe. Like, me and her text about listen to the, I'm like, you listen to the Wednesday episode yet? Oh, you listen to the Saturday episode? Or she'll text me like, oh, you hear what Ish said? I said, damn, Flip, well, crazy. Like, especially me and her been texting back and forth about this whole Cameron, Melissa Ford thing.
Which it is really a fucking crazy Marvel universe of characters that go in and out through Joe, which is always fascinating to me, because it's like, oh shit, him and Cam got issues, him and Gilly, but then they make up and then act, and Peter Rosenberg. It's just the weirdest cast of characters that all intertwine through this podverse. Yes. that he's kind of sitting in the middle of, like Loki holding his shit together. And I'm like, it's fucking nuts. But that's why I love it, because at the end of the day, you're always going to hear some of the most wild, interesting things. And I think I will still say, akin to myself, there's a certain level of theatrics that he just gets. Like, other people are fun, they're entertaining, but it's just some crazy shit that just how your brain has to work very differently in order to come up with the things that you either say, do, or react, respond to, etc., so forth, that just makes it an experience. That's probably one of the only podcasts ever that I've heard every single episode. And I was like, it's just something that even if it's just passively I'm listening and watching, cool, and I'm gonna laugh because it's just random, but again, it's an understanding of how to communicate, how to elicit the entertainment value. You need to do the things, and again, this is shit that we take to our own shows with Let Me Book, with Binge Flicks and Chill, with Embrace the Turn Up. There are pieces of like that certain entertainment value that you just need, and you can't fake it. You got that shit or you don't. And regardless of what you're talking about, especially when you're talking with your friends, it is something to be said where other people have just created these fake alliances, like, oh, me and this person and this girl, and I think we would create something. No, it's so much easier just to talk with your friends and be entertaining, because you are who y'all all are. Y'all can dig at each other and come back together and the things of that nature. So I shout out to him for creating that I was a blueprint on the main stage, because we were already doing that as well, but just one of those things and kind of blowing it up and seeing people. So all the other people that's doing that shit circa like last week, congratulations, you failed.
Right. Like bitch ass niggas, we about to be on episode 400, motherfuckers.
Let's do it.
Damn right.
Yeah, just think of how many we'd be if we actually did twice a week, motherfuckers.
800.
Right.
Pretty simple math there. Math. The math was not mathing. It's my brain. But shout out to Smilez. Thanks for having us on here. Yes. Also, fuck Smilez, because he said Survivor was a bad song. I think you gotta listen to that shit again, personally. But
yeah, I'm gonna have to run that back again tomorrow. Really. Yeah.
You have to listen to it, because you gotta feel it, because it's not a traditional song strategy, but it is definitely like, oh, it's personable. So if you just put that in the earbuds, like Dub was saying, you'll be like, oh, he's saying some shit is happening in his life.
Things are happening. Or things happened, I guess. Yes, Miles, appreciate you having me on as always. Are we reviewing that Benny the Butcher in January?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, just making sure.
Are we plugging things? We got things to plug?
Plug away, E-Ray.
Yeah, go right ahead.
You got 1 billion pods.
Right.
Guys, of course, with my co-host here, A-Dub the Pod God, we have one of, when I say one of, I mean the greatest wrestling podcast of all fucking time. Let Me Book the Territory on your RSS feeds. Either Let Me Book the Territory or Inaudibro Ruckus presents Let Me Book the Territory. Either way, you can find it. It's going to be great. Go listen to the pod, then go to letmebookpod.com and go buy yourself a shirt. We have some of the dopest merch, wrestling related, there is. So go check that out. Also, Binge Flicks and Chill, successful 2 seasons under my belt. It is the solo venture with doing what me and my friends watching movies, discussing movies, and giving you a critique and a review in the most unorthodox ways. That's just what we do. Mike got some special dropping for the Christmas season. Depends on if I feel like doing it or not, but something special that I've been meaning to do because I have a tradition when it comes to Christmas. I'll be getting into that. And yeah, listen to episode 400 coming up with me and the guys at the main pod ship. Inaudibro Ruckus, baby.
Yeah.
We did it again.
Duh.
Congrats to you, brothers, on 400 episodes.
Appreciate that.
Shit is
Appreciate
dope.
Chicka, yeah.
As I will tell you guys, this shit ain't easy. This shit ain't for everybody. So 400, again, congratulations, gentlemen. But if you guys weren't listening to the homie E-Ray 20 seconds ago, let me book the territory. He's the greatest wrestling podcast of all time. And there isn't a close second of all time. So every Friday, new episodes of that. We will be doing year-end awards pretty soon. But we're going to book the best moment of the year. We're going to book the best wrestler of the year. Obviously, it's Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, you didn't know?
We're going to book best CM Punk backstage fight of the year. All of that stuff. But other than that, new episodes will Embrace the Turn Up every single Tuesday, except for probably the last Tuesday of the year, because I'll be in the ATL chilling, sleeping a lot. This last episode is life in the MCU as a normal person. Me and the homie Henrods kind of break that down because the prior episode, the two gentlemen on this pod helped me do the DC universe. We've decided that people in the Marvel universe went through a lot of traumatic shit in the span of like 8 years.
Yeah.
And we're
like
trying
not
to figure
existing.
out. Yeah.
Having a fucking Titan appear in the Pacific Ocean.
We went through a whole 20 minutes on like the blip and like how crazy that would be to live through.
I'm now old. I'm now older than my cousin and my sister.
Yeah. Right. So like that, and then next week to cap off the year, life in the universe of The Boys.
Oh fuck!
And I might be grabbing these two gentlemen in there to talk about that one as well.
Call me up, Vince.
But other than that, guys, ADUB1220 on all the socials, Threads, X videos, Twitter too. Hit the follow button, and I promise I will fuck up your algorithm with filth and wrestling. Not necessarily in that order. And again, Smilez, thank you for having me on, brother.
Oh yeah. Thank you guys. Anytime. You already know y'all can follow me at JW Smilez on Instagram and the Twitter sphere, the X or whatever you want to call it. Also, you can follow me at MUSICMPULSE on Instagram. And if you ain't my friend or my family, you ain't gonna find me on Facebook. All right. And this has been another episode of the Music Impulse with my guys E-Ray and ADUB. And we are done and we out.
Mm.